Panic buying and long queues in front of petrol stations. The fuel crisis hits Great Britain hard. Rose Jenkins felt that too. For T-Online, the German media, the British woman tells how she even got petrol after a vacation. Rose Jenkins is usually not very upset. However, when the Briton came back from vacation a few days ago and got into the car at London Stansted Airport, she was shocked. All the petrol stations in the area were barricaded, and the fuel needle in her own car was almost at zero. It was the middle of the night, Jenkins told T-Online. We drove past 5 petrol stations, but all of them were closed. Like her, there are many people on the island right now. The UK is currently short of petrol and numerous goods. The main reason is the lack of truck drivers. That is why England's Prime Minister Boris Johnson has now sent soldiers to move the fuel from the camps to the petrol stations. But there is still a lack of fuel, and many Brits are looking for petrol stations, like Rose Jenkins last week. The Briton would have had around 3 hours to drive from the airport back to her homeland of Wales. But the rest of the petrol in the tank wasn't enough to get there. So she called her daughter around 1 o'clock in the night. We were lucky that our daughter lives near the airport, she says. But how many people from our plane did not come home that evening? That's quite a question she's asking there. The next morning, the search for an open petrol station continued, walking through Cambridge, and without success. Then our daughter wrote us a message, Jenkins reported. Her neighborhood heard about a petrol station in the country that still had petrol. So they ran back quickly and drove to the petrol station. And they were lucky. They were able to get hold of 20 liters, just enough for the return trip to Wales. The way there resembled a picture that is otherwise only known from disaster movies. Dozens of cars waiting in front of petrol stations, as well as numerous cars that have broken down on the roadside. We saw a lot of desperate people crying, said Jenkins. The problems in the UK are big and could last for a long time. The delivery bottlenecks are likely to continue until Christmas, Prime Minister Boris Johnson recently confirmed in an interview with the BBC, and I think it will be much longer. It is estimated that the UK is short of 100,000 truck drivers. Other areas are also in distress due to the petrol crisis. Concern for sick and old people is increasing as doctors and nursing staff cannot come to work in some places. And Jenkins is worried too. The situation is scary, she says. In addition to Corona, the cause of the current crisis is primarily Brexit, even if Boris Johnson is doing everything to avoid the B word and has been looking for the blame elsewhere for days, for example in the Corona crisis or now the retailers. Rose Jenkins does not believe the government statements. Boris Johnson is talking rubbish, says the British woman. She is certain that Brexit will continue to have serious consequences for the British economy in the future. It doesn't feel like we have a bright future ahead of us, she says. At least she sees a glimmer of hope. 3 out of 5 petrol stations in her hometown have now reopened. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.